All right. Welcome in, hockey fans, to another episode, another edition, if you will, of the Pro Hockey West Report. Scott Strandy with you tonight, not from Denver, Colorado, but from Kansas City, Missouri. Stephen Marsh on the upper right from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, where it's always beautiful, sunny, hot, balmy. And Nick Maxon joining us from the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
Doing well, Scott. A little bit cooler here in the Twin Cities area. A little rain moved through just a little bit ago. The humidity's gone down a bit, and so have the temperatures. And so we're getting closer, you could say, to maybe where hockey season's upon us, which is both a good and a bad thing. But things are well up here in the North Star State.
Nice, Stephen.
Yeah, about the same. We've had some rain in Las Vegas the past few days. And it's which is unusual for Vegas, but we need every drop we can get. We've had some monsoon storms, so obviously the humidity's kicked up. Today I think we were under 100 degrees, so any day we can get under 100 degrees at this time of year, even if it means it's a little bit more humid, we'll take it because we know how hot it can be here. So so we'll welcome the rain here, and of course we'll be talking about some hockey tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let me pull back the curtains for you guys a little bit on my adventure. Our good friends at Enterprise set me up with a rental car. I booked a compact car for a long trip to Detroit and back. When I got there to pick up, they said, "Hey, Mr. Strandy, we're going to upgrade you today." So they put me in a Jeep Gladiator, which is a huge four-door truck. My first thought was, okay, thanks for the upgrade, but I'm going to Detroit and back in a week. I don't know that this is what I was looking for, but they assured me that that will be okay. And then they said, "Hey, how about this? We'll give you a little discount on the weekly rate. We'll drop the price for you a little bit for taking it because it's going to use a little more gas, but we think you'll like it." So as I got into it and decided that this will be okay, started out this morning about 6 a.m. from Denver and got into the great state of Kansas, which I'm not very fond of, by the way. and the wind started blowing about 100 miles an hour, and I was so thrilled that I was driving in that Gladiator because it didn't move me. That thing is big and strong and rugged. Then the rains came, then the wind came, then the temperature never got above 70 all day, and I had 8 hours of driving in it, and I got safely to the Harrah's Casino Hotel Resort in beautiful North Las Vegas, Nevada, safely. So thank you, Enterprise, for that upgrade, because it probably would have been a lot worse driving in a compact car. But anyway, and the gas prices were great.
Let's cut. I think we're going to have to start again. Scott, you said North Las Vegas, I think.
I'm sorry, not North Las Vegas, North Kansas City. How about that? Yeah, you're
right. Can we start again?
No, that's okay. No, okay. I was thinking Las Vegas, and I said that, and I meant North Kansas City. Okay, I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
The best barbecue, Scott. And, if you like barbecue, Arthur Bryant's is a must try if you're in the Kansas City area. Similar pricing to Chipotle. You get a mountain of fries and do the pulled pork sandwich.
Wow.
You get plenty of money for your buck. So
I will remember that. Today,
but the folks at Enterprise were very prophetic, though, because they knew you were going to need a Jeep, so that's why they gave you a Jeep.
Yeah, they sure did. It was anyway. So that's a little behind the scenes stuff. I'm on my way to Detroit. I should be there tomorrow afternoon, and we'll be looking in on what I'm calling the greatest configuration of junior hockey players the United States of America has ever seen. We've never seen 60 of these caliber players all on one ice sheet at the same time. I looked at the rosters again today. They send me a new one every day, and I'm going like, holy cow. You can mix and match these guys, and they can all play on the same team or different teams, and I don't know who would win. So I think Team USA is in really good shape if they come together and go from there. Anyway, that's behind the scenes as we get started tonight. Everybody knows there was a huge schedule release this week for the AHL. Everybody's been waiting on it. There's been hints about what's going to happen. The home openers came out for everybody a little bit earlier, a couple days earlier. Then the full schedule came out. So I thought tonight's the night we talk about 8 teams that we cover in the Pacific Division of the AHL. and we'll kind of break them down for you, let you know what's happening in the different teams and who they will be playing and when they'll be doing it, some of the unique things that'll be happening along the way. So we'll do that. But before that, Stephen Marsh and his guys over at the Henderson Silver Knights put out a great little video for the Pacific Division and who the foes will be, if you will. So before we start the schedule,
I had nothing to do with the video, by the way.
You found it though.
I don't have that kind of creative juices in me, but they do at Henderson. Obviously, we know the creative.
But you found it, and you got the permission to use it, and we thank the Henderson Silver Knights for allowing us to do it. So let's play that for you right now, and then we'll come right back and we'll start breaking down the teams that we have in the Pacific Division of the American Hockey League.
Where the heck is the armor repair shop? It's supposed to be right by the arena. We've been walking for 45 minutes.
Lucky, you said this was a shortcut. Lady Lane said this was wrong. Is this a shortcut?
Woo! Condor sounds! Condor sounds!
Uh-oh. Here comes trouble.
Sounds. Condor sounds.
Condor sound! Condor sound! Well, well, well!
Well, well. Where's your new friend? I hear you got a Silver Knight now. Someone to fight your battles for you? Someone to walk you to the bus stop and kiss your boobs, make you feel better?
Lucky.
You know what? Hey, you leave her out of this. I've had enough of you, Bako. This ends now. Let's drop him.
You want to go? Well, pitter patter. Let's get at her.
Lucky, where'd you get that horseshoe?
Hey! The San Jose Barracuda smelled blood in the water.
Barracuda? What are you guys doing here? We've beaten you like 13 times already.
Yeah, we're pretty ticked off about it.
One moment! There will not be any fisticuffs without the Tucson Roadrunners! A reign of pain starts now!
Let's see some feathers flying.
Don't be having a Donnybrook without the Abbotsford Canucks.
Who are you guys supposed to be?
We don't know. It keeps changing. We never know.
Should we take our rings off for this one?
Oh, knock it off. You didn't win anything.
We're the Coachella Valley Firebirds. We just mellow out.
No! Before we do this, let's go over the ground rules. Keep your sticks down, and no third man in.
Of course.
And that's it! Let's do this! Begin! Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Okay, we're back, folks. Hope you enjoyed that short video put together by the Henderson Silver Knights. Classic.
I'm ready to battle now after all those teams are duking it out with each other.
I'll tell you what, Scott and Steven, if there's anything that's impressed me most about, the Vegas Golden Knights and now the Henderson Silver Knights is their production value pre-game, during the game. I mean, not only is, the camera work and the creativity, but the storylines. I mean, they know how to, if there's been one person who knows how to incite a mob, I would think that the Vegas and Henderson has done a pretty good job to do it both ways. It's impressive work, and it's always really fun to see what that team in the video production department comes up with that franchise. It's always a treat to watch.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Since I only have two teams and you guys each have three, let's have who wants to start? Nick, you want to start with
Sure.
one of your teams? Pick one and tell us a little bit about their schedule.
So let's start with the Ontario Reign here, Scott. And I'm picking Ontario because, you should say that the big club, Los Angeles, a lot of big expectations this season coming up, including a retirement jersey of their own. I know that not maybe Ontario, but Dustin Brown will have his number retired sometime in early 2023. But going back to their minor league team here for Ontario, a season opener Friday, October 14th, and Abbotsford. So getting a little bit of the Northwest coming their way at home. So they open up actually with a 3-game homestand, Abbotsford, Bakersfield, Henderson, and then a little bit of a home and home with San Diego, San Jose, Bakersfield. So pretty much all within the California region for the entire month of October for Ontario. The big one is they're going to be at Calgary, not once, but twice. In a December trip. But the big one, the Firebirds, so the other flame-like specimen, the new one, we'll talk about Coachella Valley here a little bit later, but their first visit to the brand new Acrisure Arena will be Wednesday, December 28th. That will be their first visit there to Palm Springs / Palm Desert to see them. They see Colorado a few times here throughout the season, and basically 2-game sets, and then not once but 3 out of 4 times Coachella Valley, a home and home, and then a home series in the later part of February. So they're going to get a heavy dose of dealing with fire here, Scott, towards the end of the season. And then Stephen, again, a home and home to finish off the season late April against the Henderson Silver Knights, finishing on the road. So it's a jam-packed schedule for Ontario. And again, just like their brethren there at the NHL level, a lot of expectations and excitement surrounding Ontario. I think they're going to have a pretty successful campaign, but just a couple of highlights from what I see in their schedule so far.
Yeah, really good. I totally agree with you. As Stephen can attest, the rivalries in the Pacific Division of the American Hockey League are heating up, shall we say? Okay, with your just stay with your little theme, Nick. They're getting more and more physical. Teams are playing each other more now. They're seeing each other after the COVID. They're seeing the rivalries not only on the ice, but guess what, Stephen? They're seeing seeing and hearing the cowbells when they come to Colorado. They're seeing the production aforementioned at Henderson. So, I think Ontario is in for a good year this year. I think they'll be fine.
And we got to remember that Ontario last season finished second in the division behind the now Calgary team, but Stockton Heat, of course, last year won the division. But Ontario had a really good.
What are they? The Calgary what?
I don't know. I mean, we saw the
bring
video
back
there,
It should just say the Calgary Hitmen.
They don't know. Is it the Heat? Is it the Thunder? Is it
the rumor is from the NFL that they're going to be just called the Calgary Hockey Team.
We do know that they're going to play this season. They're going to play at the Saddle Dome, so that's gonna be a busy place. I was reading about that. They're going to play. Saddle Dome is going to have the Calgary AHL team, the NHL team, and then they have the WHL team, I think, there or something. So it's going to be
play there. Yes.
Yeah. So it's going to be.
I was telling you guys that I think at the end of the year when I was following Stockton through their playoff run against Colorado, that they were going like, I know we're scheduled to play in the Saddle Dome, but I don't know how we're going to do it. I don't know how many dates are going to be available for us. So it's going to be a challenge, but they still have to come up with a name, right? Are they the Heat? Are they not the Heat? Are they just a Calgary hockey team?
Don't take a page out of Dan Snyder's book, please. That I would prefer not.
Okay,
we'll figure that out. But trying to get every last ounce of energy out of the Saddle Dome before. Oh wait, sorry, that didn't happen either. So
good stuff. Good stuff, Stephen. Who do you want to break down first?
Well, I'll go with San Jose. I'll leave Henderson out for now. The Barracuda. Exciting times for the Barracuda because they're opening a new arena too this upcoming fall, and that's going to be Tech CU Arena there in San Jose. And before we even get to their schedule, they're going to be able to in September. They're going to have the rookie tournament there in September. that's going to feature 6 different teams competing with that. That'll be in September, and I think that's the dates for that are the let me find it here. Hold on. 16th
through the 19th.
16th through the 19th. Yep. That's going to feature Anaheim, LA, San Jose, Vegas, and then Arizona and Colorado playing each other. This is something that I think started in 2018. It started in Vegas. It's been in Anaheim. It was in Arizona last year. So this year it's in San Jose, and they're at the new building. So this is exciting. And then of course the regular season will get started for San Jose, and their first 2 games of the regular season at home are going to be against the Henderson Silver Knights, and that's going to be in October 22nd and the 23rd. That's a Saturday and a Sunday set. They're going to start the season in Iowa, actually, so they're actually going to get to play a few games outside of their division, and they're going to play the Iowa Wild there in Des Moines. So that's exciting there.
Des Moines?
Des Moines, sorry. I'm not going to be allowed in that area. I should know better because I get angry when people when they call Nevada. So it's kind of it's the regional dialect. I guess.
Tomato, Steven.
Tomato, exactly. Anyways, so a couple of notes about the San Jose schedule. They're going to play Coachella 8 times in total. So that's going to be exciting. And there's 10 teams in the division, so you'll play each team, I think, 7 or 8 times. You might play some teams less because there's a few teams that are going to play outside the division. As I mentioned, San Jose is one of those teams. Some teams are playing strictly a divisional schedule. The other thing I want to mention, too, about the schedules, this is the first year that it's going to be completely equal game-wise. In the past, some teams have played some divisions, their teams have played more games and some have played less. Well, everybody now is going to play 72 games across the board. So I think that's going to be great for the AHL too, that everybody will have played the same amount of games when it comes time for playoffs and for teams to be able to have the same amount of games in every venue in the American Hockey League. And so that's a change too for this season. So keep that in mind. So every team has 72 games this year. So San Jose is going to make their first and only trip to Alberta in November. So that's going to happen. They're also their longest homestand is going to be 6 games. That's going to happen November 29th to December 11th, and the longest road trip is going to be 5 games, and that's going to occur a couple of times. As I mentioned, they're going to play a couple of Central Division teams next season. They'll play Iowa for 4 games, 2 away, 2 at home, and they'll play 4 against Texas Stars, 2 away, 2 at home as well. So they'll play, and then of course they'll play the other divisional teams as well. So that's kind of a little highlight of the San Jose schedule. Again, exciting for them because of the new building. Everything that's excited for them is they're trying to rebuild themselves. But they have a pretty cool schedule, it looks like, just from first glance.
Let me ask you this. With San Jose Barracuda, San Jose Sharks, not only new building, new management, upper management with the Sharks, also new coaching staff across the board. So interesting. David Quinn hired as the head coach with the San Jose Sharks. Thoughts on that? First, Steven, your thoughts on David Quinn?
Yeah, I think it's a good move for San Jose. I think David Quinn is somebody that's has a pretty good reputation. Coached New York Rangers before. He's been involved in the international game, coaching there and stuff. So I think it's somebody that can really perform well in San Jose. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But I mean, there's a lot of options out there. But David Quinn's somebody that I think can be good for this team and maybe can connect with maybe more of a younger roster if that's what it's going to be too. I think that's important too. I think San Jose's roster is probably going to be pretty young, and he's somebody that maybe can connect well since he's been involved in that regard and especially playing in the international game and stuff. So.
And Nick, you're familiar with David Quinn very much from the NCAA ranks, as am I.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on David Quinn, and is he ready for this position? Because things didn't completely go the way he wanted in New York. Is this a better situation?
I think so. I think Steven nailed it. I think San Jose still has molding to be done on their roster, and I do think it's heading towards the younger direction. It's going to be a transition time for San Jose, and for David Quinn. Again, he's had experience with the Rangers. It didn't quite pan out. That was a team that It had a bit of mixture of veterans and not as much young talent per se. So they were building something. I know upper management wanted more success right now, whereas San Jose, I think, is building for something for the future. And as Steven mentioned, you have to be able to connect with the younger players that you're going to have to mold and be able to teach the game with. Again, Quinn not removed far from his NCAA coaching days. Steven mentioned again, involved in Team USA at the World Junior ranks as well. So he's had a history of coaching with that age group. And I think that San Jose, and the way that things are going, he will have a really good way forward to try to help turn San Jose around, especially with a younger core that's looking to make an impact at the NHL level.
Plus, it's a little bit different dealing with the market in San Jose, with the media market and stuff, than it is dealing with New York and that market and all the coverage and criticisms and fine tuning and critiquing that happens in the Big Apple there with all the
Quinn
teams
wasn't
there.
that far removed. I mean, Boston College,
right,
as a head coach there. So I mean, Northeast guy. I think maybe you had the blessing of Tom Brady being a Northeast sports coach. I don't know, maybe hard to say, but it is a different environment for sure, Steven. But I also think just where the organizations are. Again, New York was at the tail end of a rebuild. In fact, I think they fast tracked it. I think even faster than most people thought, with some of the moves that they made and some of the emergence of their young talent, where San Jose really is going to be starting sort of at the bottom. And I think, again, David Quinn has a way to connect with young players that a lot of coaches simply cannot. It's a different generation. It's a different way that you have to essentially connect with your players. And I think David Quinn has shown that in the past. And so he is the perfect candidate to lead a San Jose Sharks squad that will probably be one of the youngest in the NHL come opening night. Yeah,
totally agree with you. Okay, let's jump over to the east of the West. Can I say that? The Colorado Eagles. 20 years this year for the Eagles, just what the Eagles needed to have a new logo so they could add their 20-year patch for being in Loveland, Colorado. They will open on October 14th as they travel to Texas. Steven mentioned earlier that there'll be some cross-play this year with some of the teams playing in different divisions. Colorado is one of them. I know they look forward to that because the Texas-Colorado Eagles rivalry is starting to heat up too. They've played a few times now, and I know being in attendance, that the big joke along the lines was, let's see, on Friday, October 21st and Saturday, October 22nd, they're going to be playing the team from Calgary. Where the logo is supposed to be on the schedule, it's a blue box that says TBD. Classic. Everybody's having fun with this, guys. They can't get enough of it. Of course, they're going to get the Old Faithful in October. They'll get a trip to San Diego, which I plan on being in attendance for, since I will be in that area for NCAA stuff as well. And then, of course, they'll get the Henderson Silver Knights on the 28th and 29th. The 29th, Steven's going to be doing that one because I'm going to be watching UND take on Arizona State at T-Mobile before 20,000 people standing and screaming. So, yeah, that's a little plug for that. Sorry, guys. In addition,
I'm sure Connor Ford is disappointed because they're going to be playing that night. We find out now the same night. So we got to maybe the times change and Henderson's game gets moved to an earlier time. So there's no
it'd be a good time
there.
For an afternoon game, wouldn't it?
Or maybe they let him not play that night and let him go. So, but I don't know. Let's see.
I don't let Connor Ford off that easy, man. He's got to play.
That's one of 72. Surely, how many opportunities to get to see is on them?
So anyway, as we mentioned earlier, the part of the schedule for me with Colorado is the players that they lost. And like I told you guys last week, when I looked at that part of it, I was going like, man, how is this schedule going to play out for these guys? Because they're coming off of their parent team winning the Stanley Cup, which puts a little bit of pressure. But it also means that maybe, just maybe, this Eagles roster will be intact most of the year, because I don't see a lot of fluctuation unless there's some big-time injuries with the parent club. So that could make the Eagles a strong contender to win the Pacific. Thoughts?
don't disagree with that at all, Scott. Again, Colorado, you're talking the Avalanche still aren't done. Again, possibly making some moves to bring back Naz and Kadri. But most of their the signings that they could have done to bring people back have been Atari Likkinen, Valerie Nichushkin, some key role players down the stretch for Colorado. So, unless there are some big time injuries, don't really expect too many call-ups from the Colorado Eagles. Barring something unforeseen, like you said, I imagine that the roster will be intact and should be right at the top of the conversation to win the Pacific Division.
And I'll say again, go ahead, Steven.
Go ahead. No, I was just going to say, and Colorado was an example of a team that really had a strong second half of the season. They really rebounded in that the second half of the season, had a strong finish. There was a little bit of a bump there at the last few games, but they were able to get the 3 seed ultimately and be able to go as far as they did all the way to the third round, or the second round, I guess. I get confused. No, I think they went 3 rounds.
Third round.
Yeah. There was 5 rounds. Yeah, they went 3 rounds. Yeah. So and they played, until they lost to Stockton, but they were a really good team. I mean, strong team. They got the right pieces at the end of the season. Got the and then they had a pretty good playoff run. So they had the crowd behind them. They had one of the best environments in the AHL. Certainly in the playoffs, it was strong, and so that was really exciting too. And so I think it's going to have probably a lot of that success. As you mentioned, they did lose some key players, but they'll get some players come in, and we'll see what happens with them.
Well, we know what's going to happen for sure is their goaltending will be steady and strong. Justus Annunen will be back. The Avalanche have signed their 2 goaltenders, so unless there's an injury, that'll be pretty stable in Loveland. And as you mentioned, Stephen, the game day experience is second to none in Loveland, and that will be a home ice advantage throughout the year. 72 games. I look to see Colorado being up near the top in the Pacific again. All right, Nick, who you got next?
Let's stick Southern California, Shay. How about San Diego?
I like it.
Yes.
Can we vacation there when they start the season? Just maybe.
It's never a bad thing. San Diego, for those who don't know, is also the birthplace of one of my favorite burger places, a Burger Lounge. If anybody's ever not had it.
Yeah, I've been there.
Everything organic, but shameless plug. Back to hockey, right? So when you look at schedule, Scott, you're looking for something that stands out to you, something that says, how do they get this together? The rule is thirds here for the San Diego Eagles. A lot of 3-game series.
Like it.
Yes. So how about this? Let's start with the opener. Of course, season opener, Friday the 14th at Grand Rapids for a couple of games, 14th and 15th. Their first home game against the Ontario Reign. That's just a little bit later that week, Friday the 21st. One game against Colorado early October, but things get a little bit crazy here. So first time against Coachella. Again, we'll talk more about their insane schedule. It has more to do with 3. How about 16 and 8 and bigger numbers than 3? We'll put it that way. But the first time they'll play the Firebirds won't be till Saturday, November 26th in San Diego. So quite a while as Coachella, again, those first couple of months will be on the road. And then in December, this is where these big, long series come into play. So not 1, not 2, but 4 straight games against the Calgary AHL team. Again, we just see an AHL logo. We still don't know what the name is. Rumors are out. We just don't know. And then 3 games against Tucson in a row. Again, also admitted to end December. 3 against the Henderson Silver Knights that followed directly after the 3 against Tucson. And then 3 against Coachella Valley. Again, some split between home and away in early February. So I'm not sure how the scheduling guys come up with 3s, but that's the big one. Towards the end of the season in March, 2 against Henderson, a split with the Iowa Wild with a Coachella Valley visit in between. Calgary, more Calgary, and then an away set against the Colorado Eagles to finish off the season in mid-April. So a lot of the same team that the fans will see with San Diego, especially as you get towards the middle part of the season. So I guess kind of good. It's almost like a Major League Baseball first round series, best of 3. So you can figure you win 2 out of 3. Your winning percentage is pretty good there, Scott.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. The other thing, and I wanted to mention this earlier, and I did The thing I like about AHL hockey is there's a lot of weekday games, Sundays and weekdays, which is fun, especially for a guy that has to cover NCAA hockey as well. That's Friday, Saturday, pretty much across the board. But to be able to have games, and there's some coming up for the Eagles too, where I know I'll be in Loveland on Tuesday, Wednesday, or Wednesday, Thursday, and then be able to slide down and be in Denver or Colorado Springs or wherever I need be. So that is a fun part of it. The other thing I got to keep reiterating is the AHL hockey, the most affordable ticket in professional sports, I believe. And also, you get to see some really big-time people because a lot of times guys go down on rehabs assignments. You see them for a game or two. Pavel Francouz, just using Colorado as an example, is still a big fan favorite. Played like 3 games in Loveland, but still a big favorite. So those are a couple things I just wanted to mention. And yeah, San Diego will definitely get their fill of threes. It's 3 periods in a hockey game and 3 game schedules.
I like
we
that.
Put them all together, and
you get 6.
And the San Diego Gold fans are very they love their team. Not that the other fans of their teams don't love, but they're very passionate about their goals there, and they've been known to get some pretty good crowds there in San Diego, and pretty tough environment there down there. And they travel sometimes. They travel pretty well. I remember a couple of series last year with the Henderson Silver Knights and the San Diego Goals in Vegas. This is when they were still over at the Orleans Arena, and there was a amount of good goals jerseys, some old-fashioned goals jerseys, and they were there supporting their team, and the Goals ended up winning those games, and the fans loved that. So, and that's what's great about the AHL too, and the close proximity of these teams. Yeah, the traveling is not too extraneous to get from. San Diego to Vegas obviously is easy, or the California teams, or Colorado's a quick flight to a lot of these places if you're going to do it that way, or 8-hour drive or whatever. So it's not unreasonable to get to see your teams on the road too, which can be just as fun as seeing your team at home. It's one thing if you're at home and you got the crowd behind you, you got the Rockets environments, but sometimes it's just as fun to go in enemy territory, root for your team in enemy territory.
Yeah.
And like
Speaking of enemy territory.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm an unbiased journalist here, right? But obviously I tend to lean Henderson sometimes. And going into Colorado last year for the playoffs, that was fun because I was the first I had seen them in that facility, and that was fun. I was, like I said, so it's fun for the fans to be able to do that, and obviously have a rooting interest in the team. For us, we try to be on even keeled, but the fans.
Everybody sees you. Everybody sees your allegiance.
Well, look, I got Colorado stuff showing. I've got Colorado stuff showing you. So
you can't hide it. Okay,
yeah,
who you got next? Speaking of teams with enemy territory, who's up next for you?
Well, I'm going to do Bakersfield next. How about that?
Okay.
So Bakersfield starts their season. Bakersfield last year finished about middle of the pack. They finished at the number 4 spot, and they start their season on October 15th at home against the Abbotsford Canucks. And then they have a little bit of a road stretch there. They have a couple of games, or they have a game in Ontario the next night. That's one thing about this too. We talked about the travel too. One night they'll be at home, and the next night they have to go to Ontario and play down there, and then they go to Henderson and play a game. Then they go to Tucson for a couple of games. So really, the October is a lot of road games for them. In fact, one first game at home, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games on the road in the month of October before they get some home cooking when they come back home in November. But even that, a couple of games at home, and then they're back on the road for 1, 2, and then they finally get some home games after that. In fact, they have in the middle of November, they have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 game homestand. So and it looks like from the looks of their schedule, they're pretty much playing divisional teams. They're not scheduled to go outside the division as far as I can see. I'm doing a quick glance here. Oh no, I'm sorry. They do play Texas a couple of games this year, so they'll play at Texas 2 games in February, and then they'll host them later on in March too. So a lot of road games to start this. A lot of seems like pretty more road heavier scheduled early in the season. What does that usually mean? That usually means you get a lot of home games in the later part of the season, which is definitely important if you're playing for playoff positioning and you're trying to build that. And I look at the month of March specifically, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight home games between the month of March 3rd and March 17th, where they'll play Coachella Valley, they'll play Ontario, they'll play Texas, San Jose, and then Texas again and Henderson before they go to Henderson for a game and then come back and play at home again, and then they go on the road a little bit. And then they end the season, regular season, in April with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of their last 7 games at home. So a very home favorable schedule for Bakersfield towards the end of the regular season, which again will be very important for them. And again, another venue that is kind of underrated sometimes when it comes to their hockey, and they've been known to. Bakersfield's a place I did get to visit during the COVID season, where there's very limited capacity, but you get now with no restrictions of fans and everything, you can get. It holds about 10,000 people, I believe, their arena, Mechanics Bank Arena there. So, and I think they've been known to get some good crowds too, 7,000, 8,000 on some good nights, at least before the pandemic. Hopefully we can get the crowds to return this season more than to what they were before the season. Some teams have done a better job of getting those crowds to return. Some are still kind of rebounding from that, but another venue that's kind of fun. That's all these venues really are kind of fun and quirky in their own little ways, which makes it even better.
That's the American Hockey League way. My
right.
thought on Bakersfield and their schedule is, again, I think stability with them. I think the Oilers are pretty much set, so I don't see a lot of fluctuation between the two unless there's injuries. Of course, you can't predict those. But I think that's why they've been good for the last few years. They've been pretty stable. I mean, Connor McDavid's had his crew in Edmonton, and the rest of the guys have Brad Malone, I guess, the 55-year-old ex-North Dakota player is leading the way in Bakersfield. He did get some time though with the big club, so that's good. Nick, your thoughts on Bakersfield?
Same way. I'm curious as to what goaltending might look like, though, Scott, just because of what we've seen up there in Edmonton. If there is any sort of injury, does that mean former Duluth Bulldog Ryan Fancy get a shot? I would love to see him get a shot there with the big club in Edmonton. I kind of feel like he might get one just because, again, I think if there's anything that Edmonton has shown talking the big club is that goaltending has kind of been their Achilles heel as of late. And with Bakersfield and getting a more set roster in terms of the skaters in front of them, you kind of wonder if there may be a shuffle with the goaltending position if, say, Edmonton continues to have maybe some question marks there. But I still see Bakersfield as a team that, as you mentioned, stable. They'll be competitive. Again, you're not going to see much move because of, again, you've got guys like McDavid and Draisaitl on the front side up there in the big club. So it should see a lot of Vander Kane. So you should see a lot of familiar faces in Bakersfield, but not a whole lot of shuffling back and forth between both clubs.
Yeah, and one of the top goaltenders for the Bakersfield has been Stuart Skinner. He's been kind of their guy, and so I think he's kind of the first one in line, I think, to get a call to Edmonton, and I think he's been up there before. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I'm intrigued too, Nick, by the goaltending thing and see how that plays out too.
I'm going to tell you, I think Ryan Fanty's probably the goaltender that's going to take the most opportunistic time at training camp, because I think if he shows in training camp, and I think we'll see him, Bakersfield at the rookie tournament, correct? Or
should be there.
Yeah. So if we see him there, I think he's going to get a chance to earn a spot in Edmonton. And I think, the coaching staff in Edmonton right now is very comfortable with AHL players and watching them make the transition. Same way with college. Guess who they just hired? They just hired Mark Stewart from Colorado College. He's very familiar with a guy like Ryan Fanty. So anything could happen. But yeah, I think stability when I think them. Okay, and now when we get to the instability part, my second team, the Tucson Roadrunners. And again, I don't mean to bash here, but let's just call a spade, right? I mean, the parent club is playing in a NCAA rink this year, and probably
so the AHL team is going to have the AHL team's going to have a bigger venue than the NHL team. Go figure there.
Well, I mean, like the talk was when the Coyotes drafted Logan Cooley that if he goes back to Minnesota to play college hockey, he'll play in front of twice as many fans as he will if he were in the NHL. at his home rink. Not really a shot, but a fact. It is what it is, right? Well, Tucson is stable in their arena situation, at least for what we know. Let's put it that way. And they'll play some games. Their fans support them very well down there. They have for the past 7 years. They have a great game day experience as well as far as involvement with the fans. They have Dusty the Roadrunner, and he's a big part of what they do. And they bring people out, and they have a lot of theme nights. So kudos to them for that. What they do have, though, every single year is the Tucson Gem Show. And if I'm starting to slur my words, it's because I've been up since 4 a.m. But anyway, the Tucson Gem Show clears out the arena for not only them, but the University of Arizona as well for 2 weeks in January, I believe it is. And when that happens, your team is on the road. We talked a little bit, and we will talk more about Coachella Valley and their road warrior status that they'll have. But theirs is because their arena is still being built. Tucson's is because they came into an arena and a community that this is a national, dare I say, international gem show that people have shown up to for years. And there's nothing that you can do in the city of Tucson to rearrange that schedule short of building another ice sheet. So Tucson will be up against that. Again, here's the thing with Tucson. The parent club with the Coyotes is very, very young, as we know. The Roadrunners are very, very young, as we know. Last year, there was a lot of experimenting. Take a guy from Tucson, put him in Arizona, see how he does for a game or two. Same thing. And that's what I don't know if Bill Armstrong, the general manager of the Coyotes, is still going to do this year, or if he's going to settle in to a more, how should we say this, consistent lineup where he doesn't juggle a lot. Nick, your thoughts on the Tucson Roadrunners?
It's a tough call, Scott, because again, Arizona is going to be such a young club. We're talking the big boy club, but you kind of wonder too with Arizona if they're going to take a different approach to whether, again, there's not a whole lot of veterans. There's still they're going to rival San Jose as being the youngest club in the NHL. What that means is I think there are more opportunities for the young guns in Tucson to make their way to Arizona. Now, do they by proxy, meaning by design, want to keep them in the American Hockey League so they're not putting them in situations where it limits their development or it's not putting them in the right situation? Or are they going to be forced, meaning the Coyotes, the bigot club, to pull up these players because they just simply either they're struggling out of the gate or they're maybe lacking some depth in some areas? So you mentioned instability. I'm not sure you have as much control with that with this franchise, just considering where things are at. And again, it's that instability that as general managers, you never want. And granted, we talked about the different issues facing Arizona and Tucson. We could go on. We could have an entire show about that. So it does sort of tie the hands a little.
We could have an entire year of shows.
We could, but their hands are kind of tied, right, Scott? I think there's.
It'd be like a Ken Burns documentary about it,
Yeah,
that's how much there is about it.
The hockey minds would say we need to keep, the young guns in Tucson because that's where they're going to have the minutes. That's where they're going to have the opportunities to play in different situations and really grow and learn in those. But just the way things are, I'm not sure that you're going to be able to guarantee every player to have that opportunity to be where they're at, to be most successful, considering all the circumstances surrounding that franchise.
I do also want to say that with Tucson coaching change, Jay Verity is gone quickly, suddenly, without a whole lot of explanation. Again, that goes along with instability, right? Mm-hmm. If you look, there's an awful lot of guys on not only the Coyotes, but the Roadrunners that are on one-year deals. One-year deals signal instability to me. Nobody's signing 3, 4, 5, 6-year deals there. They're not Johnny Gaudreau. They're not Matthew Tkachuk. They're doing the short stuff, which tells me that you're not really confident in your situation, and that's hard. That's hard to play.
And speaking of one-year deals, they picked up Adam Cracknell for a 1-year contract. He's a guy that's been around the block a few times in the American Hockey League and just hockey in general. 17th pro season. Bakersfield last couple of seasons. He's also played with Canada in the Olympics just past February. So he's played 627 games in the American Hockey League with Bakersfield, San Diego, Toronto, Laval, Hartford, Chicago, Springfield, Peoria, Quad City, Omaha. Okay, that's quite a resume there, and I think that that'll be good because he could provide some leadership for the player, for that kind of a team that maybe lacks a lot of maybe experience or whatever that may look like. So we'll see what kind of a addition he brings to them.
One thing I do want to finish up on Tucson with is, of course, they share the Tucson Arena with the University of Arizona, so they tend to juggle games. Sometimes they'll play in the afternoon. Sometimes the University of Arizona collegiate team will play in the afternoon. So they'll do that, and they'll continue to do that. There'll be plenty of double headers where one will play in the afternoon, one in the evening. So it'll be interesting to see how things transpire, but definitely instability is the word I would use to describe what Tucson is up against this year. Okay, Nick, who you got?
Well, we got to finish with Coachella Valley. Yes,
Yeah.
Yes, we do. So a bit of a preview before we get into their situation, right? So it kind of a split, right, Scott? So obviously he's an expansion team in the American Hockey League, a new arena being built, and again, not a completion date until December, which means you've got a lot of road games, and then you got a lot of home games, right? So to break it down officially, right, starting 2 on the road in Calgary, and then what they are calling Seattle, Washington, 4 games. So they're playing 2 games late October, then hosting Calgary, and then it is not 1, not 2, but 16 straight road games.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, right? So just tough. Tucson, Colorado, Calgary, San Diego, Tucson again, Henderson, just to name a few, right? And then also Abbotsford. And again, we talked about how Tucson, right? That's going to be the first ever home game at Acrisure Arena. That is scheduled as of right now for December 18th, which would only give the Firebirds 4 home games by the end of the calendar year. So you talk about a 72-game schedule, you put that down, that's 36. Oh boy, right? On the flip side of that, there's a lot of home games after that, right? So in January, you have all home games except for 3. You only have 4 road games in February. You have 6 road games in March, and then 2 road games in April. Every other game is a home game. So Acrisure Arena will definitely be getting its money's worth here in early 2023 for a team and for a bigger club for Seattle that has a little bit more excitement on it. You could say this go around. Again, a little bit more of a traditional expansion franchise, woes, you could say. So it's going to be exciting for them, but they're going to have a very tough go. And their record may be a little bit tough, but again, first-year team, arena not done halfway through. There's going to be some pains to that.
2 quick points for me on that. Goaltender, Joey Decord could be the stabilizing force should he be their goaltender. He's very good. He's very streak breaking. Can I use that? He used to stop a lot of streaks for Arizona State when he was there. So if you want a goaltender that's good on the road and that's stable and can keep you from having long losing streaks, Joey Decord might be that guy. Secondly is if you can play to anywhere near a 500 record through that brutal road trip, and then you get all those games at home, oh goodness, you've got a chance to make a deep run if you can use that home ice to your advantage and get that many games down the stretch. Third thing is, man, oh man, whoever covers that team for us, home cooking, the expense account is not going to be used. It's just going to be like, go to the rink, go home. Go to the rink, go home.
Once you get past the New Year's, Scott, yes. Not a lot of travel will be needed for that for sure.
Anyway, I had to throw that out there. Steven, who you got last but not least? Come on, bring it. We're all waiting.
That would be,
bring it.
You're all waiting for it. Okay, well, I guess we'll get to it then. We're talking about the Henderson Silver Knights, and of course, this is exciting too for them because this is going to be their first full season at the Dollar Loan Center. They were able to have about 10 games last season at the Dollar Loan Center to end the regular season last year, but this will be their first full season at the Dollar Loan Center in Henderson, which is becoming quite a busy place. So, go off topic here for me. You got Henderson, you got the football team that plays in there. You're gonna have a basketball team that plays in there. There's gonna be a lot of things going on in there, but it's gonna be a busy place. But yeah, they're gonna have their season is gonna start at home against Tucson, and that's gonna be the 14th and the 15th against the Tucson Roadrunners, and then they'll go to Ontario for a game, then come back and play Bakersfield for a game on the 19th, and then they're gonna be the first opponent for San Jose, as I mentioned when I was talking about San Jose. They're gonna be the first opponent for San Jose in their new building, so I'm probably will find my way up there, I guess, that weekend in San Jose on a Saturday and a Sunday afternoon.
Hold on a minute. Is there not a song about that? Going to San Jose?
Find my way to San Jose, exactly.
Yeah, okay. I might be dating myself just a little bit on that one, but there's a song about it. Look it up, Steven. Right. Google it.
That's right, yeah. I'll find my way to
Play
San
it on
Jose.
the way up there.
I'll find my way to San Jose. I'll get familiar with it. Between the rookie
got you
tournament
off
and
topic.
No, it's okay. I love it. So the 23rd. I want to mention one thing generally about the schedule too that we want to touch on is that you talked about the way that there's some weekday games. Now, ideally, teams would want weekend games because you probably get more people, but it also kind of gives you a chance to spread it out, and you don't have the 3 games in 3 days. They used to do that a lot in the American hockey. They used to have 3 games in 3 nights. But there's not so much of that anymore, and certainly this season it's more spread out. There's games in the middle of the week. There's maybe 3 and 4 nights, but it's not the 3 and 3. So I think that puts a lot on the bodies for these players. They're still pretty young. They can handle it in some cases, but it is still pretty grueling. In some cases, they would play 2. They would play
Adam
2
Croswell
games.
would like to have a word with you.
Yeah, but they would play. But in some cases, they would play 2 night games, and then the third game would be sometimes an afternoon game, so it would be even less time in between. Yeah. So anyway, but that's exciting too. But so they're gonna have the San Jose Barracuda on the road, and then they come. You mentioned the weekend of Nevada Day. They did this last year, and they're going to do it this year. And we have Nevada Day, of course, is a holiday here where we celebrate Nevada becoming a state, and we celebrate that. And so that's going to happen on the 28th, and that's an 11 a.m. game, and so they're going to play at
28th of what?
October.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You'll be in town. You'll be in town, I think, for that stuff.
I'll be there for that.
Yeah, at 11 a.m. So
I'll get an afternoon. I'll get a morning game, and then get time off to relax before I go see ASU and UNB. Nice.
Well, Saturday's
well done, Nevada.
Well, Saturday's the night game, though. So
I know, but I get a morning, then I get a whole afternoon, and another day before I. Yeah. Well done, Nevada.
That's nice. It's nice like that. So they're doing that. They're going to have a game on New Year's Day. They're going to play against San Diego on New Year's Day. There's some days where the parent club, the Golden Knights, play the same day the Silver Knights do. So there's some double headers here in Vegas, and where the Silver Knights will play earlier in the day, and then the Golden Knights, or there's a little bit of an overlap, but they try not to do that. They don't want the games going on at the same time. So there's, so there's gonna be hockey will be busy here in Vegas, but they have like I said, all the games that the Henderson play will be within the division. So they'll play each team 8 times.
Yep,
and
that's a key. That's a key.
Yep. Last year they got to play a couple games outside the division, but they end the season with a game against Ontario, home and away series on that, or away and home series on that. They're going to be in Calgary the end of March. Just looking at some of the highlights there. They're going to play a 10:30 a.m. game in San Jose on March 15th. So that's
goodness.
that's about as early as you'll ever see an AHL game take place.
That's approaching St. Patrick's Day just a couple of days later. So
they'll be in Bakersfield on St. Patrick's Day. So there you go.
Very nice, very nice. They'll be wearing their green. All right, let's take a quick break. Let's come back and let's wrap things up by just going a little deeper with Coachella Valley in just a minute or two.
The NCHC, where the best in college hockey compete, and the numbers back it up. In the past 8 years, 6 teams in national title games that are run of 4 consecutive national championships, 2 Hobie Baker winners, and 46 All-Americans. More than 70 alumni in the NHL with multiple Stanley Cup champions. A leader and innovator in the sport, including a one-of-its-kind pod. One conference, creating champions and improving the game. This is the NCHC.
Really, JR? You think you can still do this?
I'm focused.
You're way too old to hit that target from there.
I've been listening to everything you said. It's been running through my head, locked and loaded.
All right, still got it. Still got it.
Who's old now?
More than 140 live games from the nation's best college hockey conference. Ready for you wherever you are, however you want to watch. Your favorite team is on NCHC.TV. On your phone, tablet, or stream to your TV. Subscribe now to watch the best in college hockey at NCHC.TV. If it's NCHC hockey, it's on NCHC.TV.
All right, welcome back in, hockey fans, professional hockey fans, as it may be. Big shout out to the NCHC and NCHC.TV for jumping on board and providing us with a few little spots there, because guess what, guys? A lot of guys that play in the NCHC will eventually play in the American Hockey League, and a lot of them, as we see every year, play in the Western Pacific Division and the Western Conference, I guess I can say. So, yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to M-Drive, too, for jumping on board. If you want to be a part of it, you can reach us. You can reach me. You can email me. You can text me. You can find me somehow, some way, somewhere, and I'll be happy to sit down with you and tell you about the marketing opportunities. Okay, that's the quick plug. I mentioned we wanted to talk just a little bit more in depth about Coachella because there's so many different things, right? First, just coming out of the desert, you know, the real desert, if you will, of Palm Springs. It doesn't get any hotter than Palm Springs, California, and that area, the Coachella Valley. Then they build this rink, and it's a masterpiece, but it really comes out of nowhere. I mean, Stephen and I have talked about it multiple times about, hey, when did they start? How did it, you know, I went there for the groundbreaking, and then it seemed like nothing happened for 6 months, and all of a sudden you go there and there's a structure and all these glorious plans. Same thing with the marketing of their products. You didn't really see much. Where can you get them? Do people want them? Then all of a sudden the logo appears and everybody goes, I love the logo. Now where can I get the stuff? And it goes on like that. And, you know, so it's kind of mysterious in a way. Nick?
It is kind of mysterious. And, you know, real quick, Scott, just because, you know, Palm Springs, Palm Desert, you know, again, not a ton of...
Coachella Valley.
Yeah. And more known for music than their sports. You know, it's a very culturally dynamic environment. It's great. It's more of a food and style and home design icon. It's about the movies and some big celebrity names too. And now they're going to have a little bit of that sports edge to it. And I think it'll be kind of cool. It gave the city something new to enjoy. And of all the sports, Scott, why not hockey?
Why not? Why not? Okay, so they got themselves a new franchise. They're part of the Seattle franchise, which is new. So, you know, very similar to Vegas Henderson. They got themselves a coach now. They hired a female bench coach, which is very unique in the industry and good news, I might add. They've got some players now, so they're going to be able to field a team, we think, for the most part, of their own players. They're not sharing with anybody else. And you talked about that brutal opening schedule, but once they get into it, man, that building, from all indications, is going to be fantastic. And I'm sure the fans there are going to support it. Steven, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. And you know, just real quickly, because I know we're getting cutting short on time, but it's just it's just exciting to see what's going to happen with this team. I think that the video that we played with the Silver Knights that they did with the schedule release accurately portrayed them. Very laid back, type of people there in the Coachella Valley, and so it's going to be exciting to see how they embrace a hockey team there, and the pictures, of course, of the arena look really cool, and so that's exciting, and of course they're affiliated with Seattle, who's the newest NHL team, and this is the newest AHL team technically. So it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to see games there. It's gonna be fun to see when the teams come to here or other places, and just to see what kind of how they do in the first season. I mean, I remember Henderson did pretty good their first season. Of course, the players were already kind of established, but these players have been around still. They just came from another organization that
a good organization too. That
Charlotte,
that Charlotte Checker team was pretty solid.
Pick up people from other places.
So I only got one question from you, being from Vegas. How's that freeway experience going to be? Never good, is it? Is it never good?
Anyway,
that's a whole other story.
It's getting worse and worse by the day, it seems like.
Nick, your thoughts on Coachella Valley and where they're going to end up after season 1? Put your thinking cap on for this one.
I think it's record-wise it will look tougher than it actually is. But we just witnessed this in the NCAA here in Minnesota with St. Thomas. Again, close into games, but again, it's going to be hard to overcome a tough, brutal opening half of the season where a lot of your games are on the road. You'll get to really enjoy it when you have a bunch of those coming back to you at the home games. And again, Seattle, year 2, again, you're trying to still fill out some roster spots. So I think there's a lot to be excited about. I think Seattle and as well as Coachella Valley have some intriguing talent that should be fun to watch. And again, into a non-traditional hockey market that is California, that is the desert. Again, in Indio and Coachella Valley, I think there's going to be a lot to be excited about. And again, we'll probably touch on this next episode, but that arena, when it finished, for those who haven't seen the renditions, looks absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, I think that coming up between now and the start of the season, we'll start digging into the arenas because there's a lot of good ones. And with Loveland, Henderson, the new one in Coachella Valley, the new one in San Jose, the Ontario Toyota Center is beautiful. San Diego's got the old guard, if you will, which it's really hard just to get in there as a media person because there's not a lot of room and usually a lot of people covering it. So anyway, we'll end it on that note tonight. We thank you for all tuning in, and we ask you to join us again next week, Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. You can get the Pro Hockey West Report. Good night, everybody.